So Tara's here. All right. So I'm out of
I
here.
look so pale as compared to you.
Well, oddly enough, I was playing a new Buffy the Vampire Slayer card game this week. So maybe that's a theme here that we have.
Yes.
It looks like we got a theme going down.
Do you need a separate garage or storage unit for all your games? You must have a substantial amount of space for these games.
Well, we have a little, it used to be the old family room, but from the previous family, but they built on a garage, and then the garage became the family room. So that room is now our library. So the piano's there. We have about 5 bookshelves from floor to ceiling. And one of those bookshelves is just all board games. And so my wife says, I can't go into the other bookshelves. Not like I could, because there's all books on all of them. Yeah. So we're gonna see, but I'm out of space. I can't get any more, but I'm still buying more.
Yeah. All right, people, get your questions in. We don't have too many questions yet for SQL Server.
Yes, people chatting.
Richie's gonna be answering everything.
Yes. Next question. And reputation. Next question. And next question. Do we have any serverless questions? I can answer those really good right now.
Yeah, true. Serverless and just developer types questions.
Sharpie, Entity Framework, yeah.
I haven't had an Entity Framework client in at least 3 weeks. For a while there, it seemed like every single week was Entity Framework. It was just implicit conversions galore. It's like, see, I told you so. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing with Entity Framework, Microsoft has pretty much said that's our default standard for data access. So people need to understand it to use it, but people don't. People just use it because it's the default.
Yeah.
And
same thing with SQL Server. The defaults are terrible, and you have to know to change things. Otherwise, you're going to end up with filling up the disk, do a full transaction log because you're not backing up the logs or switching over to simple recovery model. I mean, with any tool, you need to at least sit down and figure out if you need to change any settings from the defaults.
Yeah. So my last non-SQL question, Wes asked, what's your favorite non-super stressful game to play? Well, I like the super stressful games. So that's pretty fun. But we've been playing a lot of Champions of Midgard recently. So a lot of fun. The expansions are pretty cool. Add a lot to the game. It's not, there's some stressfulness into it. So don't think it's not, because most of the games I have are, but that's fun. Champions of Midgard.
All right, let's see. Let's get started here. All right, Michael has a question. Currently, sorry, the thing is scrolling while I'm trying to read it. Currently, the SQL Server related projects you're working on, SQL Server on-premise or SQL Server cloud-based implementations. What are you doing, Richie, for all the projects that you're working on? Because we don't really work on projects. Eric and I were just clients.
Yeah, so I'm kind of purely cloud-based now. So doing a lot of work at Postgres in the cloud. Not SQL Server, oddly enough. Doing a bunch with some of the other NoSQL databases in the cloud as well. But mainly dealing with the NoSQL side of things with Lambda and all that. So I haven't played much with Azure over the past 6 months or so. It's all been AWS and getting stuff up running in there. So mainly the stack that we're using for Paste to Plan is kind of the stack that I'm messing with, and C# with .NET, locally. So a lot of fun stuff. But no, I haven't been doing any SQL Server in the cloud. Probably should.
So I'd say probably half of our clients, maybe at least my clients, are in the cloud. Maybe a little bit less than half. And of those, most of them are using AWS, EC2 specifically. I don't think I've had too many Azure clients. I haven't had any Google cloud clients yet. Common theme for the cloud clients, all of them are experiencing I/O issues. Slow I/O is the theme on those. That's not always the major culprit, but definitely slow I/O on those servers. All right, let's see here.
I think that's a big problem with the cloud, period, is just slow I/O.
Companies are looking to save money, and they're like, oh, look at this cheap disk that we could use for our implementation here. And whoops, don't get very many IOPS out of that.
Yeah, you should tell the managers every time you see cheap,
Yes.
replace that with slow.
Right.
All right. And then reread the sentence. Tell me what you think.
All right. Thomas asked, do you guys interview people for companies? And if so, do you see any of the prejudice toward older workers in database work? We do offer that as a service. Brent is the one that has been handling that. I don't know how you request it, but you look on our website and contact us if you'd like us to do that. I don't know that I'm seeing any prejudice towards older workers. Yeah, I don't know. Brent's not here to answer that question. He's the one that tackles this, but it's definitely a service that we offer. Because a lot of our clients don't have DBAs, they don't have SQL Server knowledgeable people, or they don't even have much of an IT staff. There's some of these companies only have like 2 people for their entire IT department. So definitely, if you guys are looking to hire a SQL Server developer or DBA and you don't have the knowledge to be able to interview people, we do offer that as a service.
Yeah, but I've read some articles how that's a problem, especially in Silicon Valley. Not only that, but actually diversity hires as well. So it's interesting. I think in the West Coast it's more of a problem. I haven't really run into it, specifically not in the database area. I haven't really seen much of that at all. Typically, I think your DBAs tend to be a bit older because you don't really go out of college knowing how to be a DBA. You know how to do other stuff, and then you kind of somehow fall into that DBA role.
All right, Wes is, I was mentioning full transaction log. He's actually working on a full transaction log right now. I imagine that his system is properly configured, but sometimes we still, it still fills up. All right, how do you guys, Dorian asks, how do you guys feel about database deduplication, good or bad? Have you heard or used Rubric? Specifically deduping backups.
Yeah, I haven't heard of Rubik. I've heard of it. I just haven't had any knowledge into it whatsoever.
Yeah, I have no information to add for that question. All right, so let's see. Kush asks, if there are no requirements for offload reads, backups, etc., would you still recommend availability groups for high availability? Well, since I'm the one on the call, I love availability groups. So yes, I implement it for, as a production DBA, I want to implement it for everything. I know how to use it. I know how to configure it. I know what the issues are where it has caused production outages that I have experienced. If I don't need to offload reads or backups, yeah, definitely. It's still a great HA and DR solution. Offloading reads that pertains to reporting, offloading backups. I don't even like offloading backups. I don't really see the need to offload backups. Just how much load are backups adding to your primary replica that you're having to offload that task. There is latency on the secondary replicas. Even on a synchronous commit secondary, there's latency there. So I want my backups to be up to date to avoid as much data loss as possible.
I don't. Well, I wouldn't recommend that at all because I don't know it at all. Like
right.
That is not,
exactly.
Right. So I just say go to the cloud, SQL Server in the cloud, and guess what? That has all the backups for you, or the replication stuffy. And I know on AWS side, Aurora does all that. You could do all that stuff pretty easily in just a couple clicks. And oh look, cluster, woo, fun.
Yeah. And if you're looking for just simpler HA, think about database mirroring. It still exists. Yes, it's been deprecated since SQL Server 2012, but it still exists in 2016, and I imagine 2017 haven't touched it yet. Use synchronous database mirroring and then have a witness, and that witness can be a SQL Server Express edition. It could be this little tiny virtual machine with hardly any resources. You just need a third resource out there if you want to configure automatic failovers. That is, if you don't care about that, then just the two servers is fine. But synchronous database mirroring is a great HA solution. It's easier to implement and doesn't have as much issues as availability groups do. It's not complicated at all. Like failover cluster instances are a bit complicated. Once you know it, it's not so bad. But you have to have knowledge about clustering to implement it. Same thing with availability groups.
What I find funny is that our website has a failover backup.
Yeah.
Database side. I'm like, oh, well, how did it get so big?
Yeah. It was crazy, for our website, reading Brent's blog post. I think it's on his Ozar.me website.
Yeah.
Talking about the strategy that he has for Black Friday and what he has to think about to make sure that it scales for Black Friday and the issues he encountered last year because it was down for a little while because he ran into issues. So
yeah, I think that post was fascinating because he said oh, we're going to be doing this, and I had to be notified with all the So the website had to be down for a certain period of time for them to build up this cluster or whatever up, and then Brent told me the price. I'm like, okay, I guess,
Yeah, it's shocking, the price.
yeah, it's like $6,000 a month, and
Yeah.
here I'm working on serverless products that, hey, $10, man, there you go. There's your, there's all your compute time that you need for the next
Yeah.
month, and but it makes total sense that we want it to be rock solid, and that so that people, when they all come rushing in, that we can handle that load. So.
Yeah. All right, question from Shri. Precautions to take before we apply service packs. So I always recommend applying service packs in your test environments first, letting it, get some burn time in test environments, and then deploying it when you decide to do it to production. Obviously, you're in a maintenance window. Make sure you have solid backups. I don't necessarily ever do, kick off the full backup job before applying a service pack. I just know that my full backup runs at night, and I've got my transaction logs all day, and we restore those in other environments, so I know my backups are good. If you don't know that your backups are good, maybe you should kick off the full backup. I've never had an issue with installing a service pack where it required me to do a complete restore, reinstall, things like that. But that really is the only precaution, besides you making sure you run it in a test environment. All right, Michael asks, I think Tara hinted at the answer, but what are the root cause issues regarding SQL Server performance in the cloud? As far as I/O issues, the root cause is that you're not buying the disks that have the I/O performance that your server needs. We're seeing severe I/O slowness because you haven't spent enough money on the disks that have been allocated to your box. So you have to be very careful when selecting your instance types that you're able to go up in IOPS if needed, because there's some instance types where it maxes out at a certain number, and that's it. I know in like AWS you can start striping disks, but it gets complicated. So I think that the ceiling on EC2 for a certain type, it's either 1,000 IOPS or 3,000. I can't remember what it is. And if you need more than that, you've got to start doing more complicated things, striping a disk or picking a different instance type that allows you to select disks with higher IOPS.
Yeah, I think the other part of that, especially we're talking about SQL Server in the cloud on Azure side, it's really index maintenance too, right? So I mean, they just announced this week that it's going to what's the SQL Azure? It's going to be auto tuning, and that's going to be default now for all new instances, and that makes sense because people throw their stuff in the cloud and they probably, a lot of them probably don't even know how to tune their own database. And so it's going to be auto-tuning there. And it would help out probably about 80% of folks. Now, the other 20, it'd be like, well, why is this index there? And blah, blah, blah. But you could turn that on and turn it off, and there you go. But, I mean, as usual, index, when you're calling a query, that's probably something you need to look at first.
Yeah. Yeah, and look at your wait stats if you're able to. I don't know if you can in some of these instance types. Like if you do Amazon RDS, maybe, I don't know. But look at your wait stats and see what SQL Server is waiting on. And if it's going to be disk, you're going to see specific wait stats. What is your top wait stat? CX packet, that doesn't really pertain to I/O. So maybe you are experiencing severe I/O slowness, but SQL Server is not having to go to disk very often. Is it really impacting you? So you've got to know your wait stats as well.
Yep.
All right. Gordon asks, getting an error with availability group, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't have error numbers memorized. I would suggest posting your question over at Stack Exchange and asking over there and provide some more detail so people can help you out there.
Yeah, Gordon, I'm sorry. I thought she would know that error right off the top of her head. So, hey, you and me are in the same boat, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suspect there's more to that error as well, that failed to join local availability group replica to AG. I need more info. Maybe it's not at the right LSN yet. All right, Kush follows up with his or I'm not sure, on the availability group question from earlier that, the recommendation is recommendation based on availability group knowledge. Yes, definitely. But that doesn't mean if you don't have any knowledge that you can't go ahead and deploy it. You've got to get the knowledge though. And the way I learned was we installed it in test environment, QA environment, low test environment. I mean, we thoroughly tested availability groups and then went to production many months later. and Kush says prefers failover cluster instances over availability groups. Brent and Eric would agree with you. My experience is that I like availability groups easier because it solves so many issues. And failover cluster instances, I have to add another feature to get DR. FCIs provide HA, but they're not providing DR for me.
Yeah, do we have a availability groups training course coming soon?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that there's one in December from Edwin. So yeah, that was really popular the first time that he did it. And I actually, Eric and Brent was the person helping out on the call in case any issues happen. And I watched a bit of it. It's really good material.
So, and then our Black Friday sales are coming up soon for that. So if you want to jump in on that, stay up late.
Yeah, and we've currently got great sales on the mastering series that Brent has, and I'm actually really excited about that stuff because it's all hands-on, and I learn by doing. Most of that is going to be in production, but get your own virtual machine, so hands-on there.
Yeah, I fail by doing, so that's the way I kind of work. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, okay. Let me move on.
All right. Vlad asked something about analysis services, linked dimensions. I don't know. I'm not a data warehouse person. I've actually never even touched analysis services, so I can't even go there. Richie, have you done analysis services?
I have, but very minimal, to the point where I could get something up and running and that's it. I would go over to DBA.Stack Exchange and ask the question there. Yeah, I can't. I can't answer that question with any sort of authority whatsoever.
All right. Yeah, my past companies, we haven't used analysis services. We've had data warehouses, but it's always been like Cognos, Informatica, and these other non-Microsoft products.
I've used all of that.
Yeah. Yep, and the thing to know about Cognos and Informatica, certain versions of that don't really work well with availability groups where you need multi-subnet configuration and readable secondaries. All right, Sri asks also if you have replication enabled, you just stop replication, agent job, and apply patches. I actually don't even do that for patching. I just install as is. Everything goes, services are going to be stopped, and all the patches will be applied, and all this restarting of services. I don't stop replication. I don't stop anything as far as patching goes. The only thing that we stop is the application access. You're shutting down the application so that they don't start getting, so that there's graceful shutdowns. And this is a planned maintenance window. So I don't stop agent jobs, replication, anything. All right, Vlad, I've not been able to get it to process again. Yeah, don't know, can't help you with analysis services. All right, Michael says, thanks for doing office hours. Yeah, very much appreciated. Yeah, we're out of questions here. If anybody wants to get any last minute question in here, otherwise we're going to end the call early. Sorry, that's just Richie and I to field your questions today. Brent is enjoying Cabo. He's in vacation mode, and Eric is too. I think he's in San Francisco, something like that.
Yeah, I thought so.
Family. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's in Cabo. I didn't know that's where he went. He went to Mexico. I didn't know where in Mexico. See, yeah, that's the extended questions that I ask. Oh, Mexico, great.
I only know because we're Facebook friends, and I look at Facebook, and I saw his pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I just skim. Oh, Brent. Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, actually, my data warehouse platform of choice is actually Teradata. I got some training in that and got an understanding how that thing works, and I was like, ooh. So I was able to get 5 billion rows into Teradata and actually do some pretty cool stuff up against it. So I actually probably know a little bit more Teradata stuff than I do the SSAS stuff, which is probably pretty embarrassing for a Microsoft guy, but I'm in AWS all day long, so I guess I'm not that much of a Microsoft guy in the first place. So
wasn't there a link that you shared that someone was saying that Oracle and Teradata are legacy products? And that was kind of surprising. What?
Yeah, and I just want to keep scrolling and say, okay, what are you selling? That's what it was. It was someone that was actually, we will help you, get to the cloud and off your legacy stuff. And it's like, yeah, Teradata and Oracle aren't legacy stuff. The people that need that kind of performance and power, they are not going to the cloud, not yet.
Yeah, true.
For the aforementioned speed and the size of the data and all that stuff, they're not going up there yet.
All right, Michael says, for those interested in an Ozar alumni, Kendra Little, one of the founders of the company, she has a website, SQLworkbooks.com. Great hands-on info regarding query tuning and much more. Definitely, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. She's got a lot of free stuff, and she's building up all of her training material over at SQLworkbooks.com. And if you're a blog reader, which hopefully you are, littlekendra.com is where she blogs.
Yeah, and she's on the $1 denomination.
No, I'm the $1.
She's two.
I forget what she. No, Brent is two. I don't even. Is he going to send that stuff to us? I hope so.
He is. He said, I'm sure once he gets back from Mexico, we'll get all that stuff. But she is on a query buck, one of them. So it may be 5. I know I'm 20.
20. Okay.
I'm on the 20.
My client this week, they sent one of their people to Eric's and Brent's pre-con, so they were showing, they had the query bucks, but they didn't receive all the denominations. They had mine, so they showed that to me on the video, but they didn't have them all. I'm not sure how it worked at the pre-con, what you got.
So just as people are confused, we do have like actual printed out query bucks with all these denominations on it, and different people are on the denomination. I think Paul White's on the 100, as he probably should be.
Yeah. All right. Greg asks, should production ship agents jobs to the disaster recovery server? Yes. So if you've got HADR and they're, like if you're using an availability group where even your HA replica is, it is another SQL Server instance. Failover cluster instances, you don't have to worry about another server, just one instance. But availability groups, log shipping, database mirroring, those are all another SQL Server instance that needs the jobs, it needs the logins, it needs all that stuff that is not being, quote unquote, mirrored over to that other server. Even transactional replication, if you're using that as a HARDR solution, which I do not agree with. But if you are, all those things require someone to set up those external objects. When I say external from the user database, things that are stored at master MSDB, such as logins and jobs. Those are the 2 most common things that you need to keep in sync, making sure that those always get updated on the other server. And I used to do this manually. There's certainly tools out there. Well, I shouldn't say certainly. There's probably tools out there that can help you script that stuff out. But definitely need to keep those other servers in sync too. If you ever have to do a failover to that other server, especially on an automatic failover synchronous commit availability group replica, because if it automatically fails over at 2 in the morning and you're missing some critical jobs that you have in place, make sure that those are over there as well. All right, I lost track with where I was here. Let me scroll.
So Wes Crockett has a question. Have you guys ever worked with Epic data warehouse or reporting environments? I can say no. I successfully avoided Epic in my career. So there.
Nope, I haven't either. I haven't really touched anything data warehouse. I mean, the companies had data warehousing solutions, and so I had to give access to the systems. And Informatica, we had to set up a transactional replication publication with no subscriber because Informatica connects directly to the distribution database. That was crazy, and it certainly created some blocking issues for us. But yeah, I haven't really touched much of data warehouse. A lot of clients that servers that I've looked at, I shouldn't say a lot, but like less than 10% of my clients, I've been looking at a data warehouse server, but not when it comes to analysis services and the actual data warehouse product. I'm looking at the SQL Server instance. All right, Sri asks, how do you do security checks and scans in SQL Server? I don't. That's how I do it. That's someone else. I've certainly been at companies where we've had, security audits, and, they require some pretty strict things, and we would just say, oh, not going to do that, not going to do that. We don't specialize in security here, so I'm not comfortable talking about that topic.
Yeah, I think Denny Cherry has a book on SQL Server security that we recommend you check out.
All right. Sri is asking SB Blitz or any other tools. No, that's not going to help you out with Blitz. None of the Blitz stuff is going to help you out with another. He's asking about security. Sorry that these things aren't linked together in the questions panel. No, not going to help help All right.
And I'm not going to write that either. So
yeah.
You're welcome to contribute. SP Blitz security.
I think some people have actually asked for that or thought about adding that to the Blitz stuff, and Brent said no, let's keep that out. I'm not positive on that though.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a completely different script and a script that I want nothing to do with because I don't want to do anything with that. That's just not what I want to do.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Adam asked, my company started upgrading to 2016, but halted due to experiencing increased CPU performance. Now 2017 is being touted as being even better performing. Should we consider going straight to 2017 and scrap the 2016 upgrade? Well, you need to look into the new cardinality estimator. I'm assuming that you're on 2012 or lower. And I think maybe what you're experiencing with the increased CPU utilization on 2016 is performance issues due to the new cardinality estimator that was introduced in 2014. So I would advise that you look into that. There's things that you can do to get the old cardinality estimator. I don't advise changing the compatibility level to be lower or adding the system's startup trace flag. You need to figure out what queries are having issues. Find the CPU culprits, and you can use SP Blitz cache with sort order CPU and sort order average CPU. Use those to determine your CPU offenders and then figure out what's wrong with them. Do those need to use the old cardinality estimators? Because you can add the option trace, the query trace on trace flag to individual queries. So that's what we recommend. We don't recommend changing the the cardinality estimator at the instance level, be it compatibility level or, that's at the database level, or the trace flag at the instance level. Instead, find the culprit queries and see if downgrading the cardinality estimator on those specific ones is helpful. I don't think that upgrading to 2017 versus 2016 is going to fix this. You need to figure out what is happening here, and I suspect, just based upon experience with clients and reading blog articles out there, a lot of people are having issues with the new cardinality estimator.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about 2017 until 2017's out.
Yeah.
Keep going and figure out what your problems are in 2016, because when you upgrade 2017, those problems will probably still be around.
Yep. All right, D asks, we have large databases, 1 terabyte on one primary file. They are all simple recovery model. They take a long time to back up even with compression. How hard would they be to restore if broken into multiple files? Very limited staff and no DR. For very large databases, I still think that you should do SQL Server backups, but you may want to look into snapshotting technologies that can back up, a 20 terabyte database in just, snapshots, and it can do it in a second. SAN snapshot technologies, and making sure that those snapshots are, I forget what it's called, but they are using the VSS thing, and so they are valid SQL Server backups, and you can copy over massive databases to another server, a test server, in just a few minutes via snapshotting technologies. As far as breaking it up into multiple files, I don't know that that's going to help. Breaking your backups into multiple files might help. One of the tests that I did when we did the Dell DBA days last year in Austin was to test backup files, and I think it was 4 backup files was the best number to have for backup performance. Going higher wasn't very helpful, and going lower wasn't very helpful, but 4 was like the sweet spot. So take a look at that, but for large databases, for the full backups, I would look at other technologies to help you out with that. All right, let's see. We have time for a few more questions. Chris asked, do you have any good tech database podcasts that you regularly listen to? Richie can probably answer that.
I'm more of a content creator than I am a consumer. Right. Now that I don't travel anymore, my podcast listenage has just gone straight down the tubes. But yes, I do know a bunch of podcasts. One is mine, Away from the Keyboard, where we interview technologists but don't talk about technology. We just kind of get behind the person and the technology and really talk more about who they are and what they've done in their career. I know that SQL Server Radio, I think that's Matan Youngman's podcast. They're out in Israel. They do a really good job there. SQL Down Under, I don't know how frequently that is being produced, but I remember listening to that a lot. SQL Compañeros, that's another one that's out there as well. And I know, am I missing one? I'm pretty sure I'm missing more than one. But Kendra has one that's considered a podcast, but it's really a video cast. She's got hers as well. So yeah, there's a bunch of them that are out there. Just do a Google search on SQL Server podcast, and there'll be a bunch of them that will come up, and probably some that I mentioned. And check them out, see which ones you like. Listen to them all, listen to one of them, don't listen to any of them. Listen to mine though. That's the one that really matters. All
right, Dorian asks, I saw an article about there's a DBA shortage. Are you seeing any of that? I'm interested in seeing how the job market is doing, and so I look at all the LinkedIn emails and all the recruiter emails, and definitely in the market that I'm in, and I'm in San Diego, California, a lot SQL Server DBA jobs are remaining open for a very long time. I'm talking like weeks upon weeks upon weeks. Definitely a DBA shortage here. Maybe companies need to start investing in the employees that they have and getting them trained to be able to do senior level work. Because that's what all the job postings that I'm seeing are for senior SQL Server DBAs. Not seeing intermediate or juniors popping up. And so the shortage is on the senior side. Maybe getting someone that might be interested on the developer side, because some developers are interested in switching over to DBAs. Not a lot usually. It's usually coming from the sysadmin side, the Windows administrators that are often wanting to look to jump over to the DBA side. Investing in them, invest internally and get those people up to senior DBA level. All right, so Dee's got to follow up information about the backups and restores. I really can't answer that. I would suggest posting your question on Stack Exchange. There's a lot of good people out there that can help answer those questions. All right, Srijit asks, anything close to interval partition from Oracle or a dynamic partition feature in any of the newer versions of SQL Server 2016-17? I don't even know what those features do, so I can't tell you if there's an equivalent in SQL Server or not.
Yeah,
if Eric were here, he might be able to help.
Yeah, Eric would be able to know that from the Oracle side, but I haven't used Oracle since my second job out of college, which was 20 years ago. So, yeah. I'm behind on my features just a little bit.
Ben asks, is San Diego a nice place to live? It sure is. That's why our mortgages are so high and rent so high. You can't even, in my area, you can't even get a 2-bedroom apartment for less than $2,200 per month. And I live in just middle-class America here. This is nothing fancy whatsoever. Definitely not a bad area, but it's just regular old middle-class people.
Yeah,
it did rain yesterday.
Your baseball team is terrible. I mean, really.
Oh, we don't have a football team.
Your football team went up and left for no reason. It's like, I don't know, man. You can't have a baseball or football.
Yeah, well, now that the Chargers are with the Trader LA people, I'm not even a sports person. I grew up on sports, heavily sports family, but sports is not my thing to watch. But anyway, everyone's into the San Diego State Aztec football team now because they're really good. So they've got a lot of attendance out of their the local football games.
Yeah, but are they 8-0?
I have no idea.
No, they're not.
I don't follow.
But my school is. That's right. Class of '97, University of Miami. I'm not saying we're back, but if we win today, or if we win this weekend, then we're back. I'll say that.
All right. One last comment from Thomas. You live in San Diego and wear a winter coat inside. Yes, I am wearing a down puffy jacket, and this thing's pretty significant. I'm getting kind of warm here, but it's chilly here in the mornings, and the sun doesn't hit my house until the afternoon, and so where my desk is, it stays cool all day long. I usually don't even have to run the air conditioning until the afternoon, even when it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, I totally would typically wear a hoodie, except I've got the lights on me right now, so I probably will just put it on after I bring the lights down a bit. But yeah, us warm weather people are really crazy because it gets below like 78, and we're like, jacket time, suckers. I'm not getting cool for this. No. All
right. Greg says 22 above in Duluth, Minnesota. Woo, no.
You enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, my refrigerator's not even 22.
All right, guys, that's the end of this call. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.